again, Zach Pratt and Matt Spinks here for the High on God podcast. This week we've got a great interview for you. It's the first in a series of interviews that we're going to be doing with the various people that we know, friends and acquaintances and just other lovers of God and other addicts to
people
Jesus.
that love to get high on Jesus.
But before we get started with that, we wanted to share recommendations for a book and some music that might encourage you. So Matt's going to give those to you.
Yeah, we've been doing a little segment, just recommendations, things to enhance your bliss. I think I mentioned this in the last episode, but I have been drinking torrents. The Mediation of Christ by T.F. Torrance. Highly recommended. This is like a theology, a little bit heady, but if you want to get into the theology of the vicarious humanity of Jesus, the vicarious man, stuff that will really enhance your bliss, and you want to get into like the Torrance brothers, this is a really awesome summary. So I just highly recommend The Mediation of Christ. You want to understand how it's, his faith, his life is ours, his glory, his experience has become ours. In fact, I think you see through this book that he is the new creation. So much glory on The Mediation of Christ by T.F. Torrance. And someone asked me the other day what my favorite song is, or some of my favorite song lyrics, and I was telling them it changes kind of day to day, but I'll tell you the song I was really getting jacked up on yesterday was the old Sweep Me Away by Charlie Hall. I don't know if you guys have heard that. It's probably over 10 years old now, but there's so much glory on. I was just cranking it in my car, turn it all the way up to 11, and just feel the vibe. It's kind of got this Indian vibe of worship, and the chorus is just sweep me away. There's so much whack on it. So anyway, a couple little recommendations, little portals into bliss might lead you down a rabbit trail somewhere.
Sweet. That's those are two excellent.
I think they're pretty high
recommendations. So this week we are interviewing our friend Cole Harmon. Yeah. He's a beautiful, sweet soul. Just loves Jesus. Loves getting high on Jesus. One of the sweetest people that you'll ever encounter. Lives a lifestyle of getting high on Jesus and a lifestyle of love, lifestyle of pouring out love on people. He sees a lot of supernatural experiences coming out of this place of love, this place of Jesus. A lot of great stories, a lot of great witness from him, and experiences that he's had both up by himself and with other people. So we're gonna get started with that, and we're gonna talk to him. So he's coming up here, and we're gonna get on the call with him right now. So enjoy.
Thanks for joining us, guys. Here comes Cole. All right, we're here with Cole Harmon. Excited to be together today. Cole's coming to you from the front seat of his 1999 Toyota Corolla.
Oh, come on, man. It's 02 Highlander.
02, okay.
And he's not alone. He's not alone in that car either.
No, you guys want to see my friend?
Yeah.
You're not alone.
He's always... he's got a co-pilot.
Yeah, you want to know a fun fact about that really quick?
Absolutely.
My friend Scott Crowder, he did Tim Wright's album. He took a picture of that and put it on his Facebook because he was riding in my car, and he got in all kinds of trouble on Facebook for it. So
that's amazing.
Whoa! Well, I thought you were gonna say put it in the album art or something.
Yeah, I know, that'd be sweet.
I don't care if it rains or freezes as long as I have my plastic Jesus.
There you go. Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Well, on that note, we are here with Brother Cole Harmon from Cleveland, Ohio, frontman of Glowing Moses, legend in the Slavic Village community, Seattle Supersonics fan, die hard, and one of our good buddies. And we've been excited to start doing some interviews on the High on God podcast. And Cole, you are our first interviewee.
Mm-hmm.
So thanks for being here, bro.
You forgot Holy Ghost hype man.
That's right.
Yeah. Holy Ghost hype man, Cole Harmon.
That's right.
So being it's the High on God podcast, and you are one of the highest on God people that I've ever met, bro.
Yeah.
I just love, I've been wanting to have you on just to share some of your favorite stories or just things you've experienced, not so that people can compare themselves to your awesomeness, but that people can be inspired just to know what's available and to know what other people are experiencing and what we have in Jesus. And so I'd love to hear just what are some of your favorite times, bro? Some things that, whether it's recently or in, days gone by, things that, what are some of your favorite high on God experiences that you've had?
So one of my oh dang, there went the lasers.
We said you're gonna put lasers out of his eyes if he says or like.
So I think probably one of my favorite ones is the very first time I ever remember getting high on God. At the time, like I didn't grow up in a charismatic home. I did grow up in a Christian family though, and so I was around church all my life. And so I was pretty sure that I had it figured out at 16 what Jesus was all about. And I did a really magnificent job of screwing up my life, just getting into like different drugs and new age craziness. And then I ended up actually getting arrested by one of the cops who went to my dad's church. So it was super awkward. So 16 years old, and I was kind of like, I need to change something here. So, I didn't really know. All I knew was just regular old Christianity, but I thought, why not just give it a shot and see what happens? So I shuffled into a youth group, probably smelling like weed smoke, to be honest. And I had some people who really took me in and loved on me, and they convinced me to go to this youth conference. And I was like, all right, I'll go. There'll probably be girls there, so that'll be cool. And I went there, and on the last night, and like this was not even a charismatic thing at all. This is like probably like a step away from Baptist. But somebody put their hands on me during a worship set, and like all of a sudden, the air around me, it got thicker. I don't even know how to describe it, except if you've ever been on a really hot day driving and you see like a mirage. It's like the entire room started doing that. And I was like, all of a sudden, dude, it's like just a huge waterfall of liquid love just started pouring through my being. I could feel like hot, tingly sensations everywhere. And then this is like crazy because this kind of set the bar for me for the rest of my life. But I was looking at the stage, looking at the worship team, but like instead of seeing the worship team, I saw Jesus on the cross, like in the spirit, and I didn't like hear his audible voice, but I just felt in my spirit, like, I love you. And as soon as I heard that, it just like washed my soul, man. Like I felt all this anger and depression and everything that I had like bunched up in my heart just melted away. And I cried for like hours, but it was kind of a weird cry because it was kind of, you want to laugh and cry at the same time. Yes. It was so rich, man. And even just for weeks afterwards, like I had such a tenderness in my heart. Like somebody, I remember riding in the car with my dad and some like rando Christian station came on, and some cheap Christian song came on, but they said the word Jesus and I started crying. I was like, I love Jesus so much. Yeah. So that kind of set me.
That's an awesome one.
And then I remember having this thought of like, that should be possible all the time because God is always God. And
yes.
And I remember even reading the Bible through in that light and going, man, Paul was jacked up. Like he was always talking about rejoicing in the Lord and having these experiences and stuff like that. And so I thought, man, I got to get me some more of that. What do I do? So
you were really birthed into it through just supernatural encounter experience, like right from the get-go, kind of.
Yeah, man. It was, and it was weird because I'm not really sure that anybody else around me was experiencing that. Like I was sharing a hotel room with some other guys, and they were just like trying to play Uno while I'm crying in my bed. So
yes, dude. Yes.
Yeah.
No, that's awesome, man. That's awesome. Wow.
So rich, bro. I know there's so many. You probably just racking your brain and trying to choose which story to share, but
yeah. Well, that was the first, and then, well, I kind of wanted to share like a few corporate ones that I've had in worship, and then maybe just a few personal ones.
That'd be awesome, man.
But,
love to hear it.
Yeah. So let's see. After that, I started listening to like Jason Upton and stuff, and just kind of.
I love Jason.
Yeah, that was the first thing I found that I was like, oh, when I listen to this, I feel that. Whatever happens.
Yeah.
I feel that.
Absolutely.
So I used to stay in my room just for hours and hours. Can you guys hear that? I'm sorry. I can roll.
Nope.
No.
Just for hours listening to Jason Upton and praying. And I remember on a couple of different occasions, I would lay on my bed, and it felt like out of nowhere, this huge weight would rest over my body, almost like if you've ever had a weighted blanket on.
Yes.
I would just feel this weight settle over me, and all of my thoughts would just be so centered on Jesus. Like all my anxiety would go away, and I would feel this deep peace. And then I would look, and oftentimes I'd actually see like a physical, like swirling cloud around my head, just overshadowing me. I didn't even know what that was for like years, but I would just sit there, and then I would come out, and it would be hard to talk like to my parents and stuff. It took a while to like get out of that zone, you know what I mean? So but this is like back when I didn't know that you didn't have to leave that, so
come on. Yes.
Yeah.
How do we function?
What's up?
How do we function, Cole?
Slowly but surely.
Yeah, good answer.
Yeah. And then so eventually I heard about Bethel and visited a couple times and realized like, oh, these people are getting drunk a lot. I'm gonna move here. So I moved there.
Yeah.
My wife actually, when we were just dating, she joined me for a John Crowder conference in Chico, 2013. Nice. And that's where the whole thing finally clicked. I was like, oh, I can have this every day. Like every day. Every minute of every day, I'm one with the Jesus that I met. Like he's not outside of me trying to get in. All I have to do really is just remember that and tune into that, and I can live my entire life in the haze. So man, that just opened the floodgates, dude. Like I could tell stories for years, probably just about realizing it's
every day.
Yeah, man, every day. But one of my favorites was in Reading in worship one day on a Sunday night. We were just worshiping. It was good stuff. And then like same thing that happened basically when I first met Jesus. I felt like this sudden like pouring of liquid love go through my body. And this time, man, it was so intense. I just burst out laughing. I hit the ground. And then I could not stop myself from laughing, like just like, and it wasn't like a
yes.
It wasn't like a normal laughter. It was just like this obnoxious like I couldn't stop, dude.
The annoying thing had hit you.
Yeah.
That one annoying thing.
Yeah. It was my favorite because we had this dude in our first year class. It's like this huge like Indian guy, and his like manifestation for some reason is he would just go like so loud, dude. You could hear him from down the hall. So sometimes I'd be like in the auditorium in first year, and I'd hear that sound, and I'd go running because I knew there'd be a pile of bodies. You know,
call to prayer.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. So whenever I heard that, I'd go running, and man, we'd have like piles of people in the hallways and stuff. Like sometimes even just in the bookshop, we'd have people just laid out and just laughing. But anyway, so
sounds like you're a fiend.
Yeah.
Sounds like you're a fiend.
Yeah.
For the glory.
Yeah. Like once you taste it. Well, and I mean, I came from a drug background, so I was already really disillusioned with life and seeking something else. And then Jesus revealed to me, like, I'm the something else. So, I mean, that gave me all the permission I needed to just be like that junkie for Jesus. You know what I mean? So, anyway, this time in worship, it was kind of the first time I'd ever had that uncontrollable, like, obnoxious laughter, you know? And, man, so I actually ended up just kind of losing consciousness. And the only reason I remember is because my friend took a video of some of my like German friends like dragging me to their car and driving me back to my apartment.
Thank you, Lord. The German technology.
Wow, that's great.
Yeah, that's so funny, man. And okay, so let me think.
Well, I love what you're sharing there too, like the corporate reality, you know, like there's something about like the times when you know, I don't know, like, and maybe you can speak to it. It's like the wine is in the cluster. It's like there's something about being together with a group of people in the glory. It's just thicker. It's like more stuff seems to happen. Like, is that your experience? I mean, is that like?
Yeah. I think part of me is always like I want to experience Jesus on my own, in my like secret place kind of thing.
Yep.
I think that's
which is important, obviously. Yeah.
But kind of in the circles I was in, that gets emphasized so hard that it almost makes you feel like, you know, if you're not like floating off the ground in your own bedroom, like there's something wrong with you. But I just started to realize like we're all one together. We're one body. And Jesus didn't design me to have everything that I need on my own by myself.
Yes,
dude. He built things into us to where I can't be fully Cole unless I have Matt. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that's why I need Matt and I need Zach and we need to be together to experience all that we have. It's It's not that you're not full, but your fullness it's built in for you to need community. So once I realized that, the pressure was off, and I'm like, this is great, man. I can
get whacked wherever.
But yeah, there's so many fun adventures that are just kind of reserved for like your friends. You know what I mean?
Like the loss of consciousness glory.
Yeah, for sure. You know, it is fun.
Well, where would you have been if there hadn't been Germans to drag you home?
Who's going to take you home? Yeah, exactly.
I don't know.
Thank you, Lord.
I've never been pulled over, but I know lots of people, friends of mine in Reading, got pulled over, and they would just say like, "Yeah, I'm from Bethel," and the cops would be like, "Just drive safe, then."
Thank you, Lord.
What are you gonna say? Lord. You know, there's no drugs involved, so.
So you were I could tell you were about to share another one. You had another one in your pipe there, or did you?
No, I've got many.
What happened the other night, man? You were telling me something about the other night.
Well, I don't know.
You want to go there?
I'm not really sure. What's fun too is there's kind of I just, you know, so with that secret place thing, I like Madame Jean Guyon. You know what I'm talking about? I struggle to say that. I'm like, hi, and she's French, and so it's like hard for me to like get it out. But so
experiencing the depth of Jesus Christ.
Yeah, I was reading her book, a simple, something about a simple, easy method of prayer or whatever, and she touched on something that gave me language for this. But I realized that I'm one with Jesus, and every day I can experience it. But sometimes I find if I'm not aware of it, it's not exactly easy in a place like a work environment, because you're pulled in every direction. But I found if I take time each day, whether by myself or with my friends, to get just like jacked up, I find that everywhere I go, I have that lingering awareness inside of me, and it becomes easy to just like, you know, I used to work at Starbucks, man, and so, dude, I would take the bus to work and just be like rolling on the bus, you know. And I remember walking in one time, and my boss, who wasn't a believer, like I opened the door and he jumped and he goes, "What was that?" And I was like, "What?" And he's like, "I just felt something when you walked in. What was that?" And I don't know, dude, but I've been praying all day, so you're probably feeling Jesus.
I'm all prayed up.
Yeah, and there's the high on God, like it is sometimes these really intense experiences, but I've found that often, you know, you mentioned functioning. Like, I'm a normal dude. I have 2 kids, and you know,
I was going to ask you about that.
Yeah. Like,
how do you parent this glory?
I do normal stuff, but I think because I just have such a high value for experiencing this and setting aside time to experience it, it fills my life with this sweetness to where, dude, you've probably experienced this, but sometimes literally I'll just drive by a tree and be like, I love this tree so much.
Exactly.
Jesus made this tree. Or like I live in Cleveland, man. So I'll just drive by like these coal factories or whatever. Life is so beautiful, man. Like, it doesn't matter where you live, you know.
Let me share a little story. The first time I met you, man, we met at this Starbucks, dude, and I just, you know, and I just loved you right away because you were carrying that sweetness, bro, of like, just, you know, it was obvious you'd been walking in the shing ding ding all day, and as we just sat there having our coffee, like, just the cloud of glory started to just kind of minister right around where we were sitting, you know, and it was like we were caught up in this thing, and we were just having normal conversation, but people just started to be attracted to us. Remember that little kid just kept coming up to us over and over until finally, like, the kid came up to us like 8 times, and the mom finally just decided to sit down and join us at the table.
Yeah.
We ended up like, for some reason, we just started throwing money at her. We like took an offering for this lady to share Jesus with her, and like she was so touched. It was like you could feel the visible, like, or invisible swirl of glory just encompassing our normal, you know, coffee conversation at Starbucks, you know, so much glory.
I remember that specifically because that little girl, you were like sitting at the table with your legs stretched out, and she was kind of like running up under your legs and kind of basically playing around you, and the mom was like, she's never like that, like, what's that's kind of thing I'm talking about. I wouldn't want to make people think like my entire daily life is out of my mind. But my life is filled with this sweetness and this lingering joy, and people feel it. Yeah, people feel it all the time. I've had people walk up to me just walking through Walmart, like shopping, and come up to me and be like, how do I know Jesus? Like, what? No, like, I know that you know Jesus. How do I know Jesus like that? Like, man, it's easy. So, yeah.
That's it, bro. That's amazing.
And then I do love, there's something about a group momentum too, where when you have a smaller group of friends who are just there with you to experience Jesus. I love church. Like, I go to a mega church. So I'm not really against it. Sorry about that. I'm not really against that. But there's oftentimes a pressure to make the experience of God's presence about something. Like, okay, now we've got to move into healing time, or now we've got to, I don't know, build something around this, rather than just stay there and just let it be, let Jesus be who he is. So when you're with a group of people in your home and your only goal is just to experience Jesus, you can almost go farther and deeper, because there's just, so I remember one time we were having a group, and it was so thick, man. People were getting laid out. We had
thick with 2 C's.
What's that?
Thick with 2 C's or 3?
Like 5 or 6, man.
Oh my God.
People were like crawling on the ground. We had exchange students that were brought to us. Like, a friend was in a campus ministry thing. They just brought these random exchange students from Iran and China who had never been around.
Yes.
They were literally like vibrating and just.
Come on, dude. Dude, the Asian glory.
So it was kind of the end of the night. Like, people started going home probably 12 o'clock at night. And a couple of extra friends were like, no, we're not done, man. We're just going to keep worshiping. And dude, there was a second wave that was so intense.
The second great awakening.
Yeah. No, but I remember, it's so hard to explain this, but I reached out my hand like this, and I felt Jesus manifest as a cloud, and when that cloud expanded and touched my hand, everybody just fell on the ground and started screaming, dude, like screaming. And yeah, I mean,
it's like when they came to arrest Jesus in the book of John, you know.
yes. Everybody hit the ground. No, but it was so much more intense, man. I can't even describe it, and we just stayed there forever. Who knows how long? But I always get nervous because we have these meetings oftentimes at my house, and we live in a pretty like rough neighborhood on purpose, and so when our windows are all open and people are just like screaming and laughing, I'm always wondering what my Catholic neighbors think, to be honest, but
yeah.
Not too worried though, obviously.
No, not too worried. But you know, sometimes I don't know if you ever think this way, but if you ever just like get outside of yourself and observe what's going on, you're like, man, we really are pretty weird, but this is great.
Oh yeah. We were just sharing stories the other day about our old coffee shop because we had our prayer room in the back, and sometimes people would be getting so wild in there that there was a Yelp review. I think it's still there somewhere. You can look it up. The Firehouse Tea and Coffee Cafe Yelp reviews. It was like, I came for the bubble tea, but it sounded like someone was getting murdered in the back.
Which is as accurate as you could possibly be. That is exactly what it sounded like.
They were literally dying in the glory.
It was probably me.
It was Zach.
Or equivalent of me.
Oh, man. I guess I'm just trying to share like a broad range of experiences because you know what I mean. But maybe like another. I don't know how many you want me to keep doing or whatever.
Let's do one more here. Let's do one more if you get time.
Okay. I've had this happen more than once now. But I went with some friends. Well, actually, no. I'll tell the shopping one. That's better. Because, like, I have one that happened in Peru that's very similar, but I want people to know, like, it doesn't have to be in Peru. It could be.
Yeah.
All right, so my friend and I...
Peru, Indiana.
We wanted some ice cream. So we went to our local grocery store to buy ice cream. And, I don't know, long story short, people started getting healed because we were getting words of knowledge and stuff. And
so you weren't fasting.
One thing led to another.
You weren't fasting. You were eating ice cream.
No, we were. If anything, we were fasting from healthy food at that point.
Oh my God!
So anyway, as usually happens, we were healing people in Walmart and giving words of knowledge.
Yeah, for sure. So this lady walked by with this cane and this limp with her daughter. And I asked her, I was like, hey, people are getting healed. Would you like us to pray for your limp there? And her daughter's like, no. We found out later she was an atheist, but the older lady with the limp, she was like, she was Catholic or something. She's like, yes, please, that would be great. So she reached out her hand. She goes, go ahead, you can take my hand. And so I was like holding her hand, praying for her. And dude, I didn't get like 3 words out of my mouth, and the glory just like dropped on her. And I'm in a grocery store, and literally she just like right on the ground, like no catchers, no help, like she just plopped on the concrete. And all these employees that saw people getting healed and stuff,
they were concerned.
Like ran over and were like, "Is she okay? Like, is she in a stroke or something?" And I remember. Like, I think it was just the Holy Spirit, but what I said was something like, no, she's just having a religious experience. Like, she'll be all right.
That's awesome.
But her daughter's like, oh my God, my grandma, you killed my grandma. But
you killed her.
So anyway, we ended up ministering to her. She ended up like having an encounter with Jesus too. But then, I don't know, probably 10, 15 minutes later, her mom comes to, and when she wakes up, so basically what happened was she had a twisted hip, like her bones were off, you know, and when she got up, they were completely straight, and she didn't have any pain or any need for her cane. Like she was just walking around without a limp. So,
Jesus.
There's a lot of glory on the face.
So good, bro. So good.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for sharing some of your stories, bro.
Yeah, man.
Do you have any final questions, any final thoughts here?
No.
We're trying to keep these to around 30 minutes or so.
Oh, sick. Okay.
just love having you on, man.
Such an honor to talk to you.
We can just encourage people to find Cole on Facebook. Cole has a podcast of his own called House of Bliss that's on pretty much all the platforms, right? I know I've seen it on Apple Podcasts and on Stitcher and pretty much all of them.
I think Google Play now, like Spotify, pretty much anywhere you can get podcasts, you can find
really good stuff. Yeah. I really appreciated that, and you're kicking your band back into gear a little bit, right? With Glowing Moses and stuff.
Yeah, man. Having a band is there's just a lot going on, and I think I kind of found myself just working a little too hard. So I just decided to
took a break for a while,
several months off, and I literally just didn't touch it, and then now I feel the weight on it again. So we've got some new stuff coming out. So
Glowing Moses. Can find you. What's the easiest way to find Glowing Moses stuff?
Glowing Moses is everywhere, but like anywhere you like music, Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube is a big one, and actually our Bandcamp has our most complete discography on there. So
Bandcamp, awesome, man. Well, thanks so much, bro. I'm sure we'll hear more from you in the future on our various things, but thanks for joining us for the High on God podcast.
100%, man. Hey, you don't have to keep this, but could I just pray for people for like 30 seconds?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Man. Let's do this. Okay. Yes.
So, anybody who's watching who just is like, man, I really want to experience that too. Well, thank God in Jesus Christ that you are like,
have it.
And he's in you. And so right now, I want you to just put your hand on your belly, and I just release the rivers of living water that are lying dormant in your belly. Just flow. Thank you, Lord, for just removing any negative like mindset or point of view that they don't have it all. God, I just say dams bursts forth. Just flow in Jesus' name.
Yes. Glory.
Yeah.
Each and every person watching experience a fresh wave, the God high in Jesus' name.
Cool.
Well, thanks so much, Cole.
Thank you.
Love you, bro.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to the High on God podcast with Matthew Spinks and Zachary Paul Pratt. Don't forget to subscribe to the show and check out the accompanying YouTube vlog where we'll have short guided meditations on the glory of Jesus, as well as additional random coverage and updates from the God High. Also, if you believe in the message we're putting out to the world, consider donating or becoming a monthly partner at www.thefirehouseprojects.com/donate so that we can spread the authentic, inebriating good news of Jesus. Alrighty then, until next time, stay high on the supply inside that never runs dry, Jesus Christ.